Hey, what's going on, guys? 118 Set Shadow here. Starting off the week with a big array of items to go through, as the anime episode from last week really caught me off guard in terms of what was going to be featured for Zorga, and it even had features for Orfist, which I wasn't anticipating. But let's go ahead and get into that right now, because it's an interesting conversation to be had. So, it was anticipated that Zorga was going to be getting new support that would be featured in last week's episode, and in today's Bushiroad product campaign, they showed most of the new cards that were played, and overall, it's had quite an interesting effect. In terms of Dead Sea Spiritualist Zorga, which is the newer variation, there hasn't been as much of a movement on that front. Same can be said for the triple R of the original variation of Zorga, which had been $5 from what I last talked about. The biggest movement so far has been the SP of the original, where this card has been $8 for a while, and now it's jumped up in price and is selling to a degree of at least $20, but someone did buy a $35 copy. There are only 3 listings left of this, so unfortunately, you did miss out if you wanted to pick this up for cheap back then. But yeah, there isn't much more to say on that, but Zorga has been getting a lot of interesting methods of play now that it can do 4 attacks in one turn and is pretty meshed well with Dragon Tree. And another card that got a buyout is Clouded Miasma, which is from Festival Collection 2022 and now has a low listing of $7. Now, it's not high, but it's got some weird buyouts going, like some people were buying multiple copies of it at $1 to $3, as you can see, and now there are players looking at it for $8. I mean, after looking at it again, because I never really paid attention to this card, I probably should have, because it's effectively yet another variation of Monster Reborn. Except it's a grade 3 order, so you have to wait until you get to grade 3. But since it's Sorga specific, it basically just pumps your front row up even further, which is not bad. Honestly, I'd want to say $5 is a good settling point, but this is Festival Collection 2022, so if you do need to buy into this, you might want to just settle for $7 at this point, since there are a lot of options here. Zorga is getting stronger overall, so. In the Dim Darkness, the Frozen Resentment is another example now of another card that you want to pick up the high rarity for, because the double R has caught up in value. Both of them are starting off at $5. If we take a look at the actual listings, we're basically looking at about $7 now to $8 when it comes to quantities for the FR. And if we look at the double R, we're looking at a pretty solid $5 across, but the number of listings on the double R has dropped off. So if you do need to pick this up, I'd say go for the FR if it's like $5 to $6, because that's definitely a better deal. So there is an order that's been getting featured in the anime a lot that I wanted to cover. Gather Upon Me, Ye Wandering Souls. So with Zorga being on this card, you would think that it's intended to be for Zorga, but keep in mind this is a generic order, which allows your Vanguard to get an extra drive check. You have to discard an order, though, so your deck does have to be pretty order-centric, and it is a Stoichia card, which means it was intended for Zorga, but it was featured in a Griffogia match in the anime as well. Overall pricing is still very good, so double R's you can pick up under $1 right now. As for the SP, it did get a buyout, but thankfully it's not too high right now. And no one's bought this at the $10 price point yet, but if you do have copies of this as SP, they're selling at $5 now, so definitely a good point to put them up and see if they keep going. Roaming Prison Dragon, we've talked about this a few times, but it's up again and is now up in the $25 range and selling there. So it's only going to get worse. Roaming Prison Dragon, I've said before, is pretty generic. While it can be played in full power at Alchemagic, you can play it in any Stoichia deck that that just utilizes normal orders. And as for the SP, there's only one listing at $65. If we look at what's been selling, $30 was the last sell just a few days ago. But if you have copies of these, look to put them on the market because they are selling and you can make a pretty quick buck on those. Orfist Regis and the original Cardinal Deuce Orfist. There's anticipation that Orfist might get one of the new mask treatments that Zorga has been getting, so rather than just taking a look at the obvious buyout of the Festival Collection version, I want to take a quick look at the original Orfist, as I don't anticipate that players will pick this one over Orfist Regis in terms of if we get a mask version of this card. But if you want the SP, it is in the $5 range, which is pretty good. Granted that this artwork is pretty nice overall, Orfist just has great artwork. And as a secondary option, if the original Orfist somehow does see play again, these are some good price points to buy into if you want to have a set of each. Then just taking a look at Festival Collection 2021, I wanted to take a look at Ride Line SPs, in particular because a lot of them have dropped off. Like, Bastion and Seraph Snow are probably the biggest examples, as these cards have normally been closer to $20. Now, Bastion's almost $10, while Seraph Snow is under $10. Magnolia's the only one that's really been seeing a rise, and $13 at a base minimum it's kind of weird. It honestly is kind of weird. Even though Magnolia is the one getting direct support in the next few sets, it's still kind of weird to see this at $13. Nirvana's cheap. You could pick that up easily if you need to finish a panorama. Violence Bruce is down too, and I don't see that going back up anytime soon. Looking at some of the other piece components, like the Prison Ride line is expensive, but I say expensive, but at the same time, $5 to $6 for one of these things is probably good, especially if Prison does get another showing of support. I would anticipate these to go up even further, and there are already a ton of listings, so you would probably want to buy into it sooner than later. Anger Richards next up there, as Viamont's Bruce is seeing some competitive play. The Blaze Maidens are not that expensive right now, but Reno might be a little bit too high, in my opinion. Fort and Rooks are well priced. Bad Steve is pretty well priced. Lettice, I mean, you can play it as a tech in Magnolia, so not bad. Looking at glitters for a minute, because Bushiroad just announced set 11. And in addition to Azel being the new encounter ride line for set 11, the glitters are getting new variations of their bosses. So I just wanted to take a quick look at what the market's got in store for these. Fountain of Knowledge Eva is still sold out, and the last copy sold today at $300. Eva is still going strong and will continue to go strong as being one of the strongest decks in the meta right now. Tamiura is under 200. Tigrea, the light version, is also under 150 right now. The dark version of Tigrea is out of stock now. Let's take a look here. 160 was the last sale. That's high. I would anticipate that the light version is the one that would get replaced by the new grade 3 boss that we're anticipating for set 11, but we'll see. Obskaded's SP is sold out. Roroa is still doing okay, but still kind of expensive. Eva's Triple R dropped down into the 20s, thank goodness. Chaos is also getting a new print, so I anticipate that this variation is not going to stay very high for long. Mikani's bought out. Tamayora's Triple R is $4.50 now. Obscured keeps rising. The Tigreas are basically just jumping in between $2.50 to $5 here and there. I definitely pay attention to Dark Tigrea, as that one should not lose support given how Tigrea plays. The light one might fall out depending on what the new one does. Chaos is rising now, which is a weird time for it to be doing so. But then again, the glitter announcement was today, so it'll take a while for Chaos to find a low point after that happens. The Chronojet Stride set. Just want to take a look at what's been happening here, but the premium deck set is starting at $275 now, whereas the regular deck set is $80 minimum, so they're just on the rise at this point. And then there's this, Mazer Gear Dragon. Why is it $99? I have no idea. All I can say is that apparently premium players are trying to get play sets of this, but let's be real. Why it's $99 makes zero sense when you can just pick up Mazer Gear out of the deck set for $80. So there's absolutely no reason to buy into this. Just don't. That's all I can say. Meteor Flare Dragon. This one hasn't seen too much movement on the low end for the Triple R, but it is 11 listings now, and it is set 7, so pay attention to that, and you definitely want to buy into them before they potentially buy out, as the FFR apparently has a buyout right now at $50 and was selling at $35. There is a new ride line coming for Dragon Empire that is based around binding a lot, so this card could see some more play based on its power gain sort of ability if it keeps wiping out your opponent's board. And just the ability to negate all your opponent's continuous effects is a nice plus. Anticipation for this week's next anime episode, it's likely to be Youthberk versus Unica. So I wanted to go over a few of Youthberk's cards, not to be caught off guard again like with Orfist last week. Tempest, which is still the most expensive card in the deck, is down in price to $40 from its high of like $60 to $70. And honestly, with Youthberk kind of falling out of favor for competitive play, it's no surprise that it's dropping. But do keep in mind this is set 7, and Youthberk is still a contender for meta play, so 35 is probably the absolute lowest I could see this going for, and if Youthberk gets some more support shown in this next episode, I could anticipate this will go higher again. Skyfall Arms, which is still the key component of the deck, is still around $20, which is a good price point to buy into. And it's still got a good amount of listings as well, so you might see some players try to undercut and sell for maybe 18, which is not too far off. Schneisel is $8 right now, but the thing about that is that there are only 4 listings under $10 overall before we're looking at $15 again. So if you do need to pick up Schneisels, this is probably a good time to do so. And finally, Combine Rusher has been bought out again to the point of people were buying this for $50, and now we have 3 listings starting at $40. So, yeah, Combine Rusher is something you're going to have to just keep paying attention to as time goes past, because this card generically just works in a lot of Brandgate decks, and given that Eva still plays it, which is currently the top Brandgate deck, it's no surprise that this got bought out again. But do be careful, and if you do happen to find more copies underneath the $30 mark, those are probably good times to pick them up, as it's just low on listings now. Hopefully we'll see more hit the market soon. Thanks for watching, you guys. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys later.